Chiefs fans were shaking. They were shaking. The fact that that stadium had relatively no fans there just proved the point that, man, say sabi Nedbank Cup. If there's one thing about Chiefs this season that you have to give them, they score. One of the flagship stadiums of African football, one of the most iconic stadiums in the world. But that was the pitch that we got. Horrendous pitch. The second half was a mess. Getting another clean sheet, whether it be versus an ABC Motsepe team, is still a plus. Welcome everybody to another episode of The Good and the Bad. I am your host, Mokwena, and this is a show where I take you through one of the matches that happened over the weekend, and I tell you 5 bad things and 5 good things that came from that game. This match that we're looking at today is going to be Kaizer Chiefs versus AgentsFC, a 4-0 win by Kaizer Chiefs. So let's get into it.
Number 5.
Hey, Chiefs fans were shaking. They were shaking. The fact that that stadium had relatively no fans there just proved the point that, man, say sabi Nedbank Cup. Say sabi Nedbank Cup, say awasaba lama team from NFD, from ABC Motsepe, but in any case, attendance was very poor. And when you look at FNB over the past few months, over the past few matches, I think the honeymoon period where we were all happy, where the team was giving us performances early in the season has gone by. And I think fans are a little bit nervous to go out and actually go watch the games live, because you never know what you're going to get from Kaizer Chiefs, especially in this one. I can only imagine how would it feel if Kaizer Chiefs were to lose to AgentsFC, and then you have to drive home after planning a whole day and transport and all of that stuff, knowing also that there's a derby that's coming up next week. So I think those were some of the factors that made sure that the FNB was empty. But guys, it's a little bit disheartening to see, to be honest with you, especially because this is the Nedbank Cup. It's a trophy that we want to win. We want to end the trophyless run, but then but it is what it is. Let's move on to the next one.
Number 4.
Who was this keeper? Bafana keeper who couldn't run out. He was trying to sweep a keeper, but his timing was off. When they crossed balls into the box, he couldn't handle them. Like, there's so much, man, that happened in this game. And what's even crazier is that Agents, when they made their sub halftime and actually brought in their other keeper, I believe his name was Ushabalala. What changes in? All of a sudden, this team is playing well. The keeper is distributing. There was a ball he played out on the counter that looked incredible. He was confident, almost injured himself, saving vilakazi shot. So you start thinking to yourself, Mara, why didn't that guy start? Why didn't that keeper who looked way better get more of a chance, especially at the Nedbank Cup? I could only imagine what could have happened, because some of those goals, you have to say that keeper maybe came out too early. His lines were wrong in terms of how he was attacking the ball. Just a lot happened, but yeah, the goalkeeper was something else.
Number 3.
The second half was a mess. I don't know what happened in that second half, but the moment the subs were made and Agents also made their subs, it became an open game. And not open in the sense that both teams were going back and forth, but both teams were making a bunch of mistakes. Chiefs couldn't combine in the middle as the way you'd expect it with a team that's coming from the PSL. Yes, you're having a tough time. Yes, it's not the best of seasons. Yes, there's been a trophy drought, but you'd expect that you'd control the game a little bit more. A lot of people were coming out and saying that Chiefs was playing in first gear in the second half. They were trying to look out for injuries. They were trying to make sure that they keep players fresh for Pirates, which I understand the logic that you're bringing to this conversation. I understand the idea behind it. But let's be real. I don't think Chiefs was in first gear because they wanted to be in first gear. I think they were in first gear because that game was falling apart. They were still chasing the ball. They were still running after these guys. They were still, at times under a little bit of pressure, not scoring pressure, but free agents now attacked at in some phases of the game, and you could tell that there was nobody who was willing to take control or responsibility of that game, and it went everywhere. So if it was to limit injuries, I don't know if that's the way you limit injuries, to chase like that. I would have expected them to put their foot on the ball and play the ball a little bit, which is something we didn't see. If free agents, what can you say? Pitso Motsepe team, second half, you'd imagine that they're not used to playing at this intensity or playing at that height of a game for so long. Never mind the fact that the FNP is one of the bigger pitches in the league. So I expected them to fall off in the second half, but I wasn't expecting Chiefs to only be able to command, a 56% possession on them. So yeah, that was a little bit disappointing, that second half.
Number 2.
Let's rewind and look at the first half. I don't feel like Chiefs was hungry. And when you look at the players who are brought in and given a chance, your Ngobos, your Vilakazis, who are given chances as starters, Abo Mashiani, I thought to myself that this was going to be a statement game for Chiefs, where they wouldn't come out and say, you know what, guys, our form may have been up and down over the past few weeks, but we're going to come out and we're going to just embarrass. We're going to take advantage of this team that has come to visit us. I wanted Chiefs to show a little bit more hunger, more determination, to show that they're the bigger team, And the one player that did disappoint me was Ngobo, who's a player that, we have asked a lot from. We expected a lot from. We expected him to be the guy who's meant to be running that midfield at Kaizer Chiefs by now, as somebody who's been at Chiefs for a number of years. So it's a little bit disheartening to see that. When you see Abo Ranga coming on, yes, he scored, but, I was expecting them, Abo Sirino, to put their stamp on the game and to really drive home the advantage that they were meant to have over this team. And we just didn't see that. So that did, I'm not going to lie, that did disappoint me a lot. And hopefully, Mani Chiefs, maybe, I don't know if it was them thinking about the derby. I don't know if it was them nyatzing this team. But when you get a chance to put your foot on a team, go out and do it fully. And if I can criticize Abo Mashiko, Abo Mabue, Abo Mkulise, if I can criticize those guys when it comes to Abo Mamelodi Sundowns, I have to keep the same energy for Kaizer Chiefs. And I was a little bit disappointed by a lot of the players that came out on that game.
Number 1.
What is it with pitches in South Africa? What is it with pitches in South Africa? Look at the Pitso Mosimane Stadium. They're still saying that whatever the performance Makadzi did, they're still reeling from it. They've got millions and millions in debt and not debt, in repairs and all of that stuff that they have to look forward to. And the municipality doesn't know if they can afford it. Look at the FNP, the flagship stadium of South African football. One of the flagship stadiums of African football, one of the most iconic stadiums in the world. But that was the pitch that we got. I know they had an event apparently that happened last week. And I don't know if they were penny pinching so that they could put their efforts towards the derby and make the pitch look nice for the derby. But that pitch was horrendous. Pitches like that are not just visually unappealing. It also causes injuries. You could argue that the injury that Uduba suffered, by the way, we hope that Uduba is okay. We hope that it's not a serious injury, but it did look like it was an ACL or a PCL or an LCL or an MCL, one of those ligaments within the knee that broke. Hopefully that tore. Hopefully when we know the scans and we get the scans back and get an update, it's not going to be as serious. But that pitch did not allow anybody to play. You couldn't play the football. You couldn't run hard. And I think you could give them off by saying that, maybe you don't want to risk yourselves too much in the second half by trying to play too hard, especially when you've got a 2-0 lead. But horrendous pitch. Let's get to the less horrendous things. These are the good things that we got from that game. Sorry to interrupt the video that I'm sure you're enjoying, but I just wanted to say thank you for all of the support that you guys have shown me and my Overthinking Football platform. I'm a one-man band that's doing all of this, and I really do enjoy the comments about how, you know, Supersport needs to come fetch me and SABC and all of that stuff. And I think it speaks to the quality of the content, but also the amount of effort that I put in. So I just wanted to say thank you. But the truth is that Abo Supersport and all of those guys, yes, we're competing with them, but it's a completely different place. The sponsors are looking for former players, and to be honest with you, running some of these things is getting so difficult, and things have changed at home. So financially, it's a whole different world. So I wanted to try something new and come to the overthinkers, the people who watch the content, and say it would be incredible if you guys could contribute monthly towards the platform, towards keeping my lights on, but also making sure that all of the crazy things that I want to do, that I want to take Supersport on with, I can actually do. And just for 20 Rand every month, I think that would be an incredible contribution if you can make it. It may sound like a little, but if we can get a lot of people behind it, then we'll be able to carry on doing what I do. I'll be able to carry on giving you the content and also expanding it, because we don't have shows like this, and us content creators need help from our audiences. So I just came here to ask you if you can. Here is the account number that you guys can use in order to contribute. And I think, yeah, I'd be very grateful if you would. But anyway, let's get back to the video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Number 5.
If there's one thing that Chiefs has suffered with this season, it's clean sheets. They concede at a very high rate. And I think getting another clean sheet, whether it be versus an ABC Motsepe team, whether it be versus maybe people that didn't give you trouble, is still a plus. Because it's not just the stat that you look at Bavuma about. You have to look at that whole defense. And I think another game where they came in and they were able to not concede is a good thing. Say what you will about free agents. Say what you will about this stage of the Nedbank Cup. The truth is that Chiefs have suffered in this particular place. They've suffered. Okay? They've conceded versus Abo Milford. They've conceded versus Abo TS Galaxy when they were still below, when they were still in the league below. They've conceded versus Abo Amatax. They've conceded a bunch against these teams that come from lower leagues. So another clean sheet in what is an important game. It may not look that way, it may not feel like it should be that way, but it's an important game. I think that goes a long way to increasing the confidence of the boys on that pitch when they play. So I am going to give them credit for a clean sheet.
Number 4.
Do you know what I love about the Nedbank Cup? And I'm going to put my Chiefs fandom aside. What I love about the Nedbank Cup is that, you know, you watch these smaller teams from lesser leagues come in and, you know, sometimes they're scared. A lot of the time when they start the matches, you can tell that they're overwhelmed by the stadium, overwhelmed by the level of the team that they're playing in terms of commercial appeal, fandom, overwhelmed a little. But you know what's great? There comes a time where they start playing. And Coach Yusuf Ben Khalil said in his press conference after that this team has a structure. In as much as they lost this game 4-0, there was a structure. But what I liked about them was that they pushed 3 players forward. They didn't play a scared game. They didn't play a low block. They played as though this is the last time, the first and last time they will get this opportunity. And it may well be the first and last time they will get this opportunity. So I will never be mad at a free agents FC coming in and actually pushing. Coming in and at times holding the ball. Like I said, it was only 56% possession, which meant that there was a good 44 that the free agents had and they tried to play. So well done to free agents for coming out in this game and giving a good account of themselves.
Number 3.
There's players in the Chiefs team that we are maybe underwhelmed with. There's players that maybe we expected a lot more from. There's players like Abopule Modi, who are players that haven't necessarily lit up Kaizer Chiefs since they've arrived. A Pule Modi that arrived at the Kaizer Chiefs coming in as one of the premier wingers in the league. So he's been quiet since he's been at Kaizer Chiefs. He's had flashes of moments here and there. But it was good to see him netting a brace. It was good to see him shaking off the cobwebs and actually scoring. Chiefs doesn't have that many players that can play pure wing. It's Potane, it's Modi, Saile is said to be gone. Dupreez is a part-time winger, right? So to have him score the 2 goals and do what he did, I think that is a very good confidence booster for Modi, and that's a player that we're going to be looking at to carry the team at times. Him, Ranga, because of the injuries that we have, because of the sales that we've made, get it, sales? Because of the sales that we've made, they're gonna have to pull up their socks. So it's a good thing for him to score.
Number 2.
Look, if there's one thing about Chiefs this season that you have to give them, they score. In the league, at a point, I'm not sure if it's changed now, but in the league, Chiefs have got the 3rd most goals scored, but then also, I believe, according to the stats, they've got the most chances created, or they're at least top 3. So that tells you that this is a team that is maybe lacking to be clinical. But they are a team that scores. And I think it's a good sign that they continue scoring. 4-0 in a game that they weren't necessarily fluid in. They weren't necessarily up to the game. You couldn't say that the Chiefs played the best game of their lives in this game, right? But scoring the 4 goals and coming out, Miguel getting his goal, Ranga getting a goal, is a very good sign to say that Chiefs is an attacking side that just needs a higher level of finishing. If they can be more clinical, they can win more games, but they do create chances.
Number 1.
Hey, Nedbank Cup and Kaizer Chiefs. Like I mentioned earlier, TS Galaxy. I mentioned Milford. I mentioned Richards Bay. I mentioned Amatax. All teams that have come in and beaten the Kaizer Chiefs in the Nedbank Cup. The Nedbank Cup is a cup where Kaizer Chiefs has lost the most to lower division teams than any other team in the competition. That is a tradition. That is a monkey on your back. And that means that every time you come and play Nedbank Cup, first round, second round, as long as you're getting lesser opposition, you become nervous. I found myself shaking before the game. I found myself thinking about the worst case scenario. I found myself watching the minutes before the first goal went in and being unsure of whether the Chiefs can get something. And while I was live, you could feel it from the other Kaizer Chiefs fans. In fact, you could see it in the stadium. If we were confident in this game, that stadium would have had more fans coming in, because there would have been a game where we can smile yana and get ready for the derby. So I am so happy. I am so happy that at least for this round, Kaizer Chiefs got the monkey off of their backs. Got the fear, the nervousness off of their backs. Because this game should not be as important as it is. It should not be as scary as it is. It should not have the connotations, the fears attached to it. If we had lost this game to AgentsFC, I think Nabi would have been gone. Or at the very least, the case to get Nabi gone would have been higher. I think the noise that would have come to these players, to the coaching staff, to the team, would have been so loud. There were so many people who were waiting to see Chiefs lose this game. There were so many people that were telling me about the stats. No, when Chiefs and Pirates play on the same day, if Pirates wins, Chiefs normally loses. Whoever wins, the other one will lose. But Chiefs went in and won the game. Chiefs went in and maybe built some confidence going into the game versus Pirates on the weekend in the derby. So I am glad that at the very least for this round, you don't know what's going to happen next round, but for this round, Chiefs won. And it keeps us in the hunt for the Nedbank Cup. Do I think that Chiefs is going to win the Nedbank Cup? No. But after 10 years of being trophyless, every time you progress through a round, you have to smile. You have to say that, okay, guys, we need to go. We've been knocked out of the MTN 8. We've been knocked out of the Carling Cup. Now we need to come into this one and maybe give a flourish. Maybe give a flourish. No expectations to put on this team, but they need to go as far as possible. And this is the first step. And unlike the other quote-unquote big teams, this step is a big one for the Chiefs. This step is a big one. If you're a small team and you get drawn in the Nedbank Cup, you would love to play Chiefs over any of the other teams because that is the team that usually slips. But we didn't this time, so well done to Kaizer Chiefs. That has been the good and the bad. I'll see you guys on the next one.